a magic number. Yes, it is. It's the magic number.
What does it all mean?
Hello and welcome to Flintoff, Savage and the Ping Pong Guy. That's me, Matthew Syed. Some great topics this week. Arsene Wenger, should he stay or should he go? How off-piste have you gone for money and fashion sense in sport? I reckon Garth Crooks might crop up at some point.
Come on, Garth!
As always, a big thank you to everyone who's got in touch through the week using the hashtag FredSavSide. Do suggest topics for future podcasts. But before we get going, let's do what we always do and find out what we've been up to over the past week. Fred?
It's been one of them weeks, hasn't it, this week? Obviously, events of what happened at the MEN Arena Monday night, waking up to that.
Yeah.
You know, it's 6 o'clock in the morning. The wife woke me up. She was on the internet and was telling it. And so many emotions go through your head, from disbelief to anger to sadness. And I was in Manchester all day Tuesday. I had a few things on. And you just catch yourself hearing people speak or talking about it. And it was one of them days where I kept welling up talking about it, because you see these things happen all around the world and you think that's terrible. But when it happens on your own doorstep, it's completely different.
Yeah.
And it changes the way you look at things and the way you live. I went to the vigil on the Tuesday night and stood there with all the people, listened to it all. And it was moving, but then at the end of it, just felt like I couldn't move. I had to get home. I was just like rooted to the spot and just couldn't move. It's been an emotional week, and I think the way in which people live their lives now changes a little bit. You start to think, everyone says you've got to carry on doing all the stuff you do, but you do think about it.
That was felt in Stockholm as well. I was in Stockholm, Matthew, for the Europa League final, Manchester United against Ajax. And, you know, before the game, the United fans were very subdued. And, you know, even, you know, it was one of the most difficult commentaries I think myself, Mark Chapman, Phil Neville had to do, because you don't really want to be there because of the awful events that happened. You know, you're in a final, you know, you're there, it's a game of football, but the reality is that 22 people lost their lives in Manchester and you're reporting on a football game. So it was very difficult. You know, I just wanted to be home with the kids. And, you know, for anybody who's not heard Mark Chapman's speech before the commentary, it's absolutely unbelievable. It was on 5 Live, powerful. So it was very difficult, but I was delighted that Manchester United won the trophy. You know, and credit to Manchester City as well, that put a tweet out. You know, football brings people together. Man City's, the football club's tweet was, a City United, and City was in blue and United was in red. And I thought that was a lovely, lovely gesture from Manchester City.
You mentioned, Fred, that our lives are going to change as a consequence of this. I went on Wednesday to Roland Garros in Paris to interview Alexander Zverev. He's a top young tennis player. Taxi dropped me off at the gate to the venue, to the stadium, but I had to walk half a mile to go through 2 security checks in order to get in. Took about an hour. Then when I left, they'd erected new steel barricades around the stadium. Understandably, for sure. I had to walk another half mile to get to the road. And this is, I mean, it's a shame that sport, which does bring people together, it's something that we can celebrate, is now surrounded by the infrastructure of barricades and surveillance, but you just have to put up with it.
But it's any gathering of people now. You look at what happened.
Concerts.
Ariana Grande concert, which you think, you know what, come on. And then I went to the concert on Saturday night, and the kids before we went were talking about it. Even my kids were telling, you want to get there early, you want to come back late, wait till everyone's gone. And that's how my children are thinking. When I took them to drop them off at school on the Tuesday morning, I didn't want to let them go. You hang on to them for a little bit longer. You say you love them again and again and again. But yeah, I think one of the things which has hit home for me, especially being at the concert at Old Trafford for the Cortinas, is our police and everyone.
Amazing people.
Amazing.
Unbelievable nurses, all the medical NHS. Unbelievable. I think the way in which they look after us and they carry on. You know, we've spoken on this show about money and what people earn and footballs and sport. And these guys don't earn anywhere near that, but they're the ones on the ground keeping us all safe.
And we record this podcast in Salford Quays, outskirts of Manchester. You guys live in and around Manchester. A real sense of unity off the back of this, a coming together and a strength that goes beyond anything you could ever find in these nihilistic, fanatical ideologies.
You know, I'm from Wrexham, Matthew, but, you know, brought up really in Salford from the age of 15 when I was at the class of 92, and now lived in the Manchester area for the last 12, 13 years. So I feel it's home for me now, Manchester. And, Fred's lived in Dubai, you lived in down south, but I think you feel from Preston, this is your home as well.
He didn't like it down south.
No, I hated it down there. But Preston's my home city.
Yeah.
But then Manchester's like my adopted city. I've been here since I was 16 and feel real part of it.
Yeah.
But I did go to a concert on Saturday night at Old Trafford. The Charlatans played, the Blossoms, the Cortinas. And I really enjoyed it. But I sat there thinking, I've aged. I've aged.
Well, we're going to tell you.
You've got better. You've got better.
Well, there's not.
No, you have.
What do you mean he's got better?
He's got better with age. I do not think.
Oh, I see.
I think he's got better with age.
He looks younger.
I think he's got this powder.
He's good looking.
He's
good looking.
What?
He is good looking.
Oh,
he's good looking.
What do you think? I'm feeling uncomfortable
what
now.
What do you mean he's good looking? Hang on a minute.
I know you describe. I am the meat in the sandwich at the minute. I'm sat here in the middle.
What do you mean he's good looking?
Don't fight over me, lads. There's enough to go around. There's enough to go around. Don't fight over me.
Kathy, your lovely wife said he's handsome.
Yeah, well, she looked at the shot that promotes the podcast that you two are on and I'm not.
Yeah.
And
we're getting to the bottom of it now.
Slightly resentful about that.
I wanted you on it.
He's a good-looking guy.
I wanted you on the picture, but the BBC said no.
Marketing reasons.
He's got this new powder for his hair, hasn't he? Have you seen how his hair looks a bit thicker? Yeah. I think he's losing it, Matthew, so he's resorted to this powder.
I'm not losing me.
All the cricketers advertise the hair loss treatment. Shane Warne, Graham Gooch, Flintoff is next.
Rob's given me some of his magic powder, which is meant to be good for your hair. And since I've started using it, I just turn up and everyone
The sex life's got better. It makes your hair thicker and stronger.
Just me. But everyone says I look like Robbie Savage's older brother. Younger brother.
I can't believe Matthew thinks you're handsome.
I feel embarrassed. But getting back to the concert, I realised how old I was. Because I was in the box looking down on this sea of people at the bottom, all jumping around and enjoying themselves. And I used to think that'd be a great place to be, but now I'm thinking I couldn't think of anything worse. And then like some bloke setting off flares, flares. Yeah. And I think, why?
Yeah.
Why are you setting a flare off? Because all the preparation and all the thought, and then to stand there, and everyone's going to love this. I'm going to stand here with a flare red in my hand. This is going to be brilliant.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yesterday on the train up to Manchester from London, a group of young lads got into the carriage. They put their music on, not with their headphones, so that most of the carriage could hear it. And I'm like, that is completely...
Which carriage was that, Matthew?
What do you mean?
Which carriage part of the train?
It was carriage C, I think.
Carriage C, really?
C, yeah.
Have you seen who's been tweeting all week?
A free ticket. Was it a free ticket? You've been on to Richard
Oh,
Branston
here
again,
we go.
You're embarrassing. You're embarrassing.
Oh,
Matthew, that is embarrassing.
What?
Do you know him? Do you know him?
Well, no, he read Black Box.
No, it's embarrassing.
He read Black Box thing and he asked me to go in and talk to the Virgin staff. With him, we did a Q&A. So I tweet this out. What happened?
Matthew,
on WhatsApp?
Matthew,
on WhatsApp immediately. You two are going into me for saying, "How on earth can you be tweeting out praise from Richard Branson yet again?"
Did he buy your book? Did he buy your book?
$1.99 at the minute. $1.99.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that as well. Yeah.
$1.99.
Right, guys, come on.
Wait there.
Yep.
To finish off the week, I was at the FA Cup final.
Yeah.
And unbelievable. Can you imagine this? So I'm standing there. Three legends, myself, Stephen Gerrard and Rio Ferdinand. What are you laughing at?
Jay Humphries, the other one.
I thought you played for Reading.
No, come on.
So the pitch side there, Arsenal won the trophy, and obviously the first topic is going to be Arsene Wenger, isn't it? So that's a great topic. I'm standing there, and Hector Bellerin, who's the right back, Fred, fantastic player, been linked with Barcelona.
Where's he from?
He's from Spain.
Yeah.
Never met the guy. He's run past us. Yeah, run past us, and I've shook his hand, and he went, "Can I say something?" I said, "What?" He said, "I love Flintoff, Savage, and the Ping Pong Guy podcast." And I went, "Pardon?"
No way.
It was the most surreal thing. He's just won the FA Cup. They're going up the steps to get the medal,
and he comes over.
And honestly, he said, "I'm just going to say, don't finish it. It's the best thing on radio. It's the best pop. It's the best podcast out there."
You're making that bit up now.
No. I can't.
You probably said, "I like your podcast," and all of a sudden it's the best thing on radio. It's the reason I've stayed here. I'm not going to Barcelona. I'm staying here to listen.
But actually, when you guys were coming into the studio today in Costa, you bumped into the Mayor of Manchester.
Yes, Andy
said
Burnham.
the same thing.
Andy Burnham.
Is this like pure self-promotion? We're on our own podcast,
and
telling
again-
everybody about how many people like
No,
our
but
podcast.
it's bizarre. I've never done a thing that people like me for. It's incredible, seriously. I've never done a thing and people
Robbie,
like
don't
me.
look at me as if I'm going to be surprised. You're looking at me as if to say, oh... No, Rob, I get it, Robbie. I get it.
It's unbelievable. I've never had such adulation. I'm walking around and saying, people like me. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Topic number 1. Arsene Wenger of Arsenal. Should he stay or should he go? We're expecting a big decision this week. He's had an extraordinary track record as manager of Arsenal. 3 Premier League titles, 7 FA Cups now. But a lot of Arsenal fans, not the majority, I don't think, but a critical mass, think that the time has run its course. Robbie, you've written about this, you've debated it. This is my topic, but let's start with your opinion.
I want your opinion first, your topic. What do you think? You lead it. It's your
Okay,
topic.
I'll lead it then. So I think Wenger, an innovative manager. When he came into English football, he transformed training methods. He turned up the temperature on the team bus so that the players could keep their muscles
He's groundbreaking, this fella. He's groundbreaking. He's turned the heating
It's like
up.
Einstein.
Oh, lads, we're not having it on 22 today, lads. We've got a big game. Let's rev it up to 26. Who's with me? Who's with me?
He turned the heating up on the
Is that
bus.
I mean, he
innovative?
said that, didn't he, in one of his early interviews? He said you need the heating up on the team bus because it keeps the muscles supple. I was only using that as one example, but he did a lot of different things. Transformed
Good start.
the way
What
that
else
recruitment.
did he do? He put radiators in at the training ground. Oh, come on. What else has he done?
We got the training pitch at Arsenal the same dimensions as the one that was used in the stadium, osteopaths, changed the recruitment and the scouting network, nutrition came in a cutting-edge way for the first time in English football, and I think he's
He's at the art. I tell you what, he's wasted at Arsenal. He should be at NASA, this fella. He's wasted. I mean, like, he turned the heating up on the bus. No wonder they've not won, no.
But okay, that was probably not the best example to use, but I do think it's probably fair to say, Robbie, you know, right, when Wenger came in, football was in the dark ages to a large extent, and he has revolutionised the use of science in order to get people to train and perform at the highest level. But my feel, Freddie,
I can't believe you started. I can't believe you started. You turned the heating up on the buses. That's unbelievable.
You won't be asked back by Richard Branston here. Richard, your trains are too cold. Your trains are too cold. Come on, Matthew. Bloody hell.
Okay, so just to finish the point off, though, I think he has, since coming in and innovating...
Did he get DAB as well? Come on, lads, we've got DAB radio now. We'll win it next year. Hey, but no number 2s in toilet. Not on the bus.
Okay, but having said all of that, I don't think he has innovated very much since arriving on these shores. So he's been doing the same thing in the same way for many, many years, and I think he finds it difficult to adapt to the way that other managers are doing things, the way the other teams are setting up tactically. I think he struggled with that. I also think he doesn't have enough internal dissent. Ferguson hired some tough assistant managers through the years, people who could challenge him. Ferguson again, yeah. Wenger, don't think he gets enough internal challenge. He is absolutely omnipotent in the club. So I think that... I think he's a great manager, but I think he needs to reevaluate where he's at, and I think they should keep him on if he's prepared to do things differently and accept some internal dissent.
Well, I'm with you to the point where he was innovative. What's the word? Innovative. What's the word?
Innovative.
That's the one.
Come on.
Innovative. What is it?
Use your initiative.
He uses initiative when he comes over to these shows.
And he innovates.
Yeah, innovate. And his side, Matthew, the Invincible side, was one of the greatest teams I think we've ever seen. And when I played for Leicester City, we always used to go to Highbury and we get hammered.
Of course, you played against the Invincibles, didn't you?
Yeah. What a team, Matthew.
I forget you play sometimes. I forget you play.
I touch the ball now and again, you know.
Yeah.
So he was at the forefront, and for me, in his early stages of his Arsenal career, when he was winning Premier League titles, I think he was up there with Ferguson.
Yep.
I really do. I think as a great manager. But in recent times, obviously no Premier League victories for a number of years. Yeah. The FA Cup has been great. And before the start of every season, you're thinking it's going to be the same old Arsenal. Top 4 finish, last 16 of Champions League, might nick a FA Cup. And this year, when I believe they wouldn't finish in the top 4 for the first time in 16 or 17 years, no Champions League football, I thought this could be the season with his contract coming towards an end. This could be the time for him to go. We've seen aeroplanes flying with banners over stadiums, which I think is a disgrace. Yep. And I've seen him when he fell over at a train station. He was getting mocked by newspapers. I've seen fans when I think they played Stoke, and I think they got beat at Stoke, and they were getting a train. I think it was a Virgin train, Matthew, back to London, and the fans were absolutely hammering him. Yeah. And people forget his age. He's what is he, Matthew? 69, 70, is he? Or 68. He's 68.
68.
He's 68. The longevity he's had is brilliant, and I honestly thought, Matthew, with how it was...
67.
67. So, Matthew, obviously, he's 67, I think, and...
Who's just told you that?
Leave that in.
If he's 69 by the time you finish the story. Come on, carry on.
So the point I'm trying to make, Matthew, is I was one of these people, and on 606 and in my newspaper columns, I try and look at the better side of managers, because I'm not one of these people that wants people sacked all the time, because I think that's wrong. But not finishing the top 4, I thought this will be the season he goes, because people were starting to... Hatred was starting to form. We've seen Arsenal Fan TV and some of the idiots who go on there.
Well, your mate Piers Morgan has been one of the strongest campaigners.
But when you listen to Piers Morgan, though, you've got to say he has some valid points. Yeah. And I think Piers Morgan, people say, why can Piers talk? He's a celebrity fan. But I tell you what, Piers loves Arsenal. Yeah. I think he's got season tickets.
Got shares in the club.
Shares. So he's got every right to express his opinion. Yeah. And he's been on a few shows I've done. And when you listen to him, he makes complete and utter sense. Yeah. Right? And I've seen managers now. So Klopp went at Liverpool. Mm-hmm. Has Klopp done better than Wenger at Arsenal in the last couple of seasons?
Yep.
Has Guardiola done better than Wenger at Man City, Man City than Wenger's done at Arsenal? Has Mourinho this season done better than Wenger? United finished 6th, Arsenal finished 5th. Mm-hmm. United won 2 trophies, Arsenal won 1. Mm-hmm. And I seen there was video footage of Wenger in the tunnel at half-time, geeing up his players, and he got a massive, massive response. So I think, Fred, I was one of these people who thought he's got to go now, end the contract, go out on a high. But I honestly believe he should now stay. I really do, because I'm looking at the managers out there and thinking, who could come in and
That's the issue, isn't it?
That's the issue.
Do you know football managers? It makes me laugh at me, because I sit and watch it. And you'll have a manager, and he gets sacked from a club because he's not good. Next minute, he'll get another club.
Yeah.
And then he'll get another club. It's like a merry-go-round. If you get on that treadmill of managing, you might have to go to a few different clubs, but you've got a good 10 years in, haven't you?
Yeah.
Hey, how does it work, Rob? Why do they keep taking these same people?
Well, I think it's a very good point, because if somebody gets sacked and a job comes up, straight away, there's a list of 10 people who are the same.
A bit of due diligence and think, hang on a minute, he got sacked from that job. Why do we want him?
But don't you think fans have to take some responsibility for the fact that the managers get sacked? Because a manager gets 3 or 4 or 5 bad results. I mean, Wenger, he got the fans on his back this year, but often it happens before that, doesn't it?
Matthew, do you think it was a disgrace the way he's been treated as a man?
I think that it's absolutely valid for fans to critique a manager. If they genuinely think that manager isn't good enough for the club,
fine, yeah,
they have the right to express that opinion. It's up to the board of directors to decide whether they want to act on that advice. And I'm with Fred, absolutely, that boards pull the trigger way too fast. You get this ludicrous soap opera of managers going from club to club. In a funny kind of a way, though, I think that's part of what we love about football. Yeah, but the manager is like the guillotine is hanging over him the whole time, and that's kind of part of the fun. He could go at any moment. He's either a hero or a villain. No, it isn't, but I think that's part of what people I think it's part of the soap opera of football. But just coming back to the fact, I can totally see why Wenger is angry that the fans, when Arsenal were playing, were expressing their anger with him, and that there was a hostile ambience at the stadium. That isn't a good atmosphere to the players to play.
It's become a bit of a joke and a phenomenon now, isn't it, that Wenger out signs all over the world. They'll turn up at the WWE.
So why are you in or out for Wenger?
After the weekend and what I've seen that man go through this season, I think I'm with you.
Yeah.
If he changes and brings in a strong people alongside him, and he goes and spends X amount of millions of pounds, but the thing is, can they attract the same amount of players? Not in the Champions League. That's a big thing.
Yeah.
And because what's thrown at him is, has he got too much power at Arsenal? He spends the money like it's his own.
Yep.
Yeah, and a lot of and is it a business Arsenal where Champions League football is that his target every year?
I like him, mate.
I like him, Fred.
He looks like Dorothy from the Golden Girls. Remember the Golden Girls?
Yeah.
He looks like Dorothy.
Yeah.
So look,
I know. I've never thought of that before.
Well, he does.
Just need the big blonde wig, right?
But also as well with him, I quite like the fact that he's having it away a bit, isn't he? Let's be honest, he gets paid £8.3 million a year.
Is that right?
And I like a chancer. And he tells them when he's finishing. He's telling them. And he's even got to the point, I've done a bit of research on Stan has, and when they built the new stadium, they got a bank loan on the back of him. He had to guarantee he was going to be manager. That's how much power he's got there.
That's quite something.
He's had an asteroid named after him.
Has he?
Yeah, he has. He's had an asteroid named after him. It's
probably called the Wenger, is
It's
it?
called Arsene Wenger 33179.
Love it.
It was discovered on March 29th, 1998 by Ian P. Griffin, who was an Arsenal fan.
He's got a radiator named after him in the team bus.
But go on.
But eight, whatever he gets, £8 million a year.
I think he's the fourth highest paid manager in the world.
About behind Mourinho, Pep Guardiola, and who's the other one?
The other one is Freddie Ancelotti.
Can I make a quick point about innovation, though? Because how is it that somebody who was so innovative has become so dogmatic?
Has everybody else caught up, though?
Time catches up on you.
You say just rewind to Kodak, right? One of the most innovative companies in the world.
Cameras.
Kodak, cameras. They were right on the vanguard of print photography. They went bankrupt in 2012. Here's the irony. It was a Kodak designer who came up with the idea of digital photography in the mid-1970s, but the management was so stuck in their ways that they said, we're not interested in that. We're sticking with print. It's the same with Polaroid. There are companies that are massively innovative, but then they get into their thing and they can't think differently. I think Wenger has become a bit like that. I go to Arsenal from time to time. I've been into the training ground. I've given a talk to the first team. He runs that.
No wonder they've gone downhill.
That triggered the decline.
What are you waiting? What did you say to him?
I was talking about, black box thinking, basically.
What did you say?
Who was in the room?
Wenger, the first team staff, the first team players,
and what
the
did
medical
you say?
staff.
How did you start?
So I was, do you want the
Come on,
speech?
yeah.
So I was talking about innovation, how you change, how you learn, how you adapt, how you need to constantly.
He's obviously listened then.
Wait,
but you're using some big words for football, aren't you? Got to keep it simple.
how to be innovative.
Just say, kick it.
I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a fantastic club. They're unbelievably nice people. It's decent, and they are really good at what they do. But my sense was that Wenger hasn't been prepared to change the basic way that he runs that club for quite a long time. Ferguson, I think, was constantly changing and adapting and thinking about
I think you made a good
things.
point about number twos, Matthew, and people around him. That's a very interesting point.
Well, look at Ferguson. He had Archie Knox, Brian Kidd, Steve McLaren, Carlos Queiroz, Rennie Mullenstein, Mike Phelan, strong characters who were great people. He delegated the training to them.
I don't know what Steve Bold does, but I don't.
Steve Bold's a great guy, but I don't think.
But I watch him on the touchline, and he just sits there next to Wenger and doesn't seem to do much for me. I don't know what he does.
Wenger's a dominant guy, and I don't think many people are able to.
Do you think he will change?
No, but I think with Wenger, right? He's 67.
Yep.
And as you get older, you get a bit stubborn, don't you?
Yeah.
I've seen it with people. I think he's a bit, you know what, this is how I do it. And then you think about it, everyone's saying, should he stop and should he walk away? What's he going to do? Get a timeshare in Malta? He's not a young man.
Yeah.
Why would he walk away from $8 million to go and mow the lawn?
It's his life, isn't it?
Oh, I tell you what,
I reckon if he had a season where he won the league or the Champions League or did something, he'd say, you know what, that's enough. He's waiting, I think, for his big fanfare. Not necessarily for him, but because he's had this, 21-year career at Arsenal, I think he wants to go out and turn around and say, you know what, that's what we've done here.
Yeah.
And he's not had that opportunity yet.
Why do you think it's not been announced, Matthew, before the end of the season that he was staying or he was going to leave? Why do you think? Because
the club need it for the loan on the Emirates. It is. It got a £390 million stadium. When we built the stadium, the banks demanded, these are Arsene's words, I stay for 5 years. I did. Do you want me to tell you how many clubs I turned down during that period?
Where's he from, Bangor?
I reckon there's so many different reasons.
Is he Welsh?
Can we talk about Arsene Wenger, please? This is a serious subject.
So, okay, final word on this from all of us. Stay or go. I'm going to say, can I just pick up one thing as I say this final word? The club is his life.
Yeah.
The amount of time and effort and emotional energy and intensity he puts into it. I remember chatting to him after going in that time, and he was saying that when it comes to recruitment, he's just watching videos at night of players that they can potentially buy, looking at the stats of how the players have run, where they're like on their medical trajectory. The guy lives and breathes the club. I think he's a nice person. I think he's he's been a great contribution to English football. I think with the caveats I've already put in, I would say stay. Robbie.
Yeah, I was one of those, Matthew, thought in the season with all the, vitriol, hatred, aeroplanes flying over with banners, I thought this is the season where he should go. Mm-hmm. But then, seeing him get through that, seeing him, on the touchline, his emotion, and at the weekend, the relief when they won the FA Cup, and seeing the video footage at halftime when he got a reaction out of those players, and looking who's about, looking how Guardiola's done at Manchester City, looking how Klopp's done at Liverpool, looking how, even though I think Mourinho's done great with Manchester United this year, winning 2 trophies, but finished below Arsenal in the league. I would say, on the basis who's out there, people might say Allegri, Simeone, but will they do any better than Arsene Wenger at Arsenal? That is the big question. We'll never know. Yeah. I would say probably if he changes his ways, which I'm not sure he will, spends the money like it's Arsenal's money, not his. Yeah. I would say stay.
We got there in the end.
Yeah, I would say stay, Fred. I don't like.
We got there.
Have you ever seen it, Matthew and Fred, in any other? Would it happen in cricket where somebody is that powerful? Somebody's that powerful at a club?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. But with Wenger, I'd like to see him stay.
Yeah,
because he seems a good man. He seems a good man, and I want to see a good bloke go out the way in which he wants to go.
And he's always got a standing part on Golden Girls.
Well, exactly. And also as well, for all the fans out there and your Piers Morgans, be careful what you wish for.
Yeah,
that's what a lot of people say.
You could end up with Tony Pulis. You could end up with that fella who was at Newcastle with grey hair.
Alan Pardew.
You could get Alan Pardew, couldn't you, though? Be careful what you wish for, lads.
So when all the political parties are trying to shout the loudest, and they are, and all at the same time, because that's what they're doing, how do you make sense of anything that's being said? Well, you can click on Election Cast from BBC 5 Live and BBC Politics. I'm John Pienaar, and along with my mates at the BBC Politics team, I will be your guide to manifestos and issues, incidents and accidents. Plenty of all of those just now, all crystallised succinctly in a neat, clear podcast. Election Cast. Download and subscribe now using your usual podcast app.
Topic number 2. Now, Freddie, last week you went off on one, has to be said, totally unscripted on Garth Crooks, and I think it was a maroon shirt and purple tank top combo.
Garth Crooks went out on national television, right? He knows it's being filmed. They know it's being filmed. You know you're on telly, Garth. You had a pink shirt on and a maroon buttoned-up tank top. Absolutely shocking, Garth Crooks.
So the topic is worst dressed pundits.
Well, I thought,
clothing and sport.
I thought we'd just expand it a little bit. So I wanted, through my career, do you know the kits you played in?
Yep.
They started to change. When I started off, they were quite baggy, which I liked. Yep. And then as they moved on, they started getting tight, and my kit was like puppies in a bag trying to get out. It's like with all these lumps in it. It was awful. You had to lose weight just to get in your kit. And I'd be interested, like, Robbie, you must have played some shocking kits, some bag kits.
I remember when I first joined for Leicester, we had a kit called Fox Leisure, and it was really baggy. I was 9 stone when I played football, 9 stone wet through, and the kit was absolutely huge. And as the game moved on, the kits got better. And as you say, Freddie, tighter. And Le Coq Sportif at Leicester. He moved on to
That's
another.
quite ironic.
That's picking at me again, yeah.
What? No, sporty.
Oh, thanks.
Nothing to do with Le Coq.
That's not nice. So you should always have to. Seriously,
You take it so well. That's what Bellerin likes about it, though.
Seriously.
Hector, loving it. That's for you, Hector Bellerin. That's for you.
I remember the Wales kit was Kappa, John Hartson, who was my roommate, great lad, great lad, tight red Kappa kit, and it was boiling hot day. There's photos of him. He's huge. It's the tightest kit in the world. And what was he, 16 stone, big John?
Was he that big when he played?
Mate, what a player, what a footballer, by the way. Big man up front, but the kit on him looked absolutely ridiculous. But I have played in some bad kits. But because I was skinny,
yeah.
The thing is, because I was skinny.
What size did you have?
So, as the kits, I wanted the biggest kit because I thought wearing the biggest kit would make me look bigger. No, it made me look worse.
Yeah.
Because when I see pictures of me, there was nothing of me, Fred, and embarrassing. Like, I was so, even to the point when I was at school, when you used to go swimming, my mum used to write a note to say, can he miss swimming? Not because I couldn't swim, just because I was that skinny. And when I had the Speedos on, I looked horrendous.
Speedos?
Yeah, we used to wear Speedos in school. I was that skinny. I had a complex about being that skinny when I was at school growing up. And to the point, and I know we got off piece a little bit, but I used to wear 2 pairs of trousers when I used to go out.
What?
You used to wear 2?
What do you mean?
What does that do, 2 pairs of trousers?
Made my legs look bigger.
No, it doesn't.
You did not.
I swear. And 2 jumpers. I used to go to nightclubs in 2 pairs of trousers and 2 jumpers.
You must have been sweating like a pig.
Yeah, it was. But I had a complex about being skinny. And I was really skinny.
So you went to nightclubs in 2 jumpers and 2
I used to
trousers?
wear 2 pairs of trousers. I was like underneathers, I used to call them. So I used to have
underneath
a pair.
you even had a term for it.
So I used to have a pair of tracksuit bottoms and cut them off near the knees, put them on first over my underpants, then put a pair of jeans on so it make my thighs look bigger. Seriously, because I was
You're not vain, though, are you?
not vain, because I was that worried about being skinny and people think how skinny he is.
I used to wear 2 pairs of socks if I went nightclubbing.
Why?
They had no toilet roll in Preston. No, it's true. What? Seriously? That's what we all used to do. We used to wear 2 pairs of socks because in Tokyo Joe's, Preston, never any toilet roll. You've had a bad night if you come back barefooted.
You should go,
night.
but you would go for a poo in a nightclub
If I need one, what do you want me to do?
at night.
What do you mean? I know you're out at
11 o'clock every
morning.
day.
You just go at night.
If you've had a few, you're on.
Some people do,
Ah.
We're meant to do it then. If I'm on a night out, I'm in a nightclub, and my tummy's rumbling, and I need a Richard. What we're meant to do it?
That's a very fair point. Very fair.
It is a fair point. That's why toilets are there.
Hey, on the issue of wearing baggy socks in cricket, when you first started, people used to wear these big jumpers.
Oh, yeah, but
what was that all about?
That's the thing that's really annoyed me. That really annoyed me because we started off, and when I was younger, I was a bit bigger, so I had to have
Really?
I had to get the shirts made a bit bigger than everyone else's. I swear they used to take them off the mascot or something. So I had these massive shirts, and they were massive. You could get about 4 people in them, and my trousers were massive as well. Just because I thought, well, opposite to Rob. Yeah. Where he said he tried to look bigger, I was always trying to look smaller. So I wore big gear to make it look as though you've lost a bit of weight, but I hadn't. But the jumpers, the cable neck sweater, beautiful.
But the kids this day and age,
then they changed them to these.
You've got to be ripped now to wear the football kit for me.
But when you're out on the field and you've got a big jumper on,
I loved it.
It didn't get in the way of moving effectively.
A jumper.
Yeah.
They're beautiful. It's got your England badge on. It's a cable net.
Always something I've wanted to know this, and people out there might want to know as well. The number on your hat. What's that number for?
Which one?
What number were you? 500 and something. What number? Do you know what I mean, Matthew? There's a number on an hat.
591.
Yeah, what's that number
591st Test cricketer for England.
Oh, is that what it is?
154th One Day International player and the second T20 player. But I remember when I started, you wore a school shirt.
Yeah.
You wore a white shirt.
Yeah.
People used to wear belts with
to play cricket?
Yeah.
because you had to wear whites, but not
Whites.
everyone had a white shirt. So you'd
You wear
wear
a school
one.
shirt.
Yeah, I remember that.
Wear a dress shirt. Yeah. I remember the first football kit I got was the Crown Paints on Liverpool.
That-
The grey one.
Yeah.
I
That
was
was
the
a nice
same.
kit.
I was the same. Crown Paint. I had the yellow one with a red pinstripe. I was a Liverpool fan as a kid.
Yeah.
That was my first football kit.
But they were so expensive. I once waited, because I had a Hibs shirt as well I bought. Because it was in sale. I just wanted a football shirt, a green Hibs shirt. I'd never heard of Hibs. But it was just cheap, wasn't it? It was in JJB Sports on the bus station in Preston. It was on sale. I had a bit of money, about £8 or something.
First football shirt.
Second one. First
was
one
yours,
was the
Matthew?
Crown Paints.
What was your first ping pong shirt?
But actually, funny
You wear
enough,
some naughty gear playing
I've
table.
gotta
Why do
tell
you wear
you-
shorts that are too short?
I know. Late 1970s, early 1980s, when I started table tennis, got into these pastel colours. So my first kit was pink with black tight shorts with a pink trim. I've got to tell you, my mum still has photos. They look absolutely ridiculous. But have you noticed how the materials changed in the shirt?
Yeah.
So it used to be cotton, and then when you would sweat, it would get damp and it would be horrible. Now you wear a sports shirt and
You have to be ripped. If you're ripped today in a football shirt, you look.
If you carried a bit, like the poor supporters who are standing in the crowd,
Yeah, that's
and they're buying these replica shirts, and they're horrible. They're like pulling up above the bellies and things. Yeah, but you're going to take it into account, aren't you? Why would you make them for fans? You know, let's be honest, if you look around a ground at a football match, the fans aren't particularly trim, are they? Let's be honest, there's some big lads wearing skin-tight tops. The other thing that gets me is, you know, when you're playing, you wear some shocking gear. Like, as you get older, you're meant to grow out of it. Not this fella here, Robbie Savage. You're at 10 GQ's 10 worst dressed celebrities. We're not talking footballers, we're not talking sports people, we're talking celebrities.
I was just glad GQ knew who I was, Freddie.
Hey, worst dressed.
But it was a fine line. It's a fine line. I think Mario Balotelli or El Hadj Diouf were best dressed. So there you go. I think
but
it's a fine line.
you put a lot of effort in. I mean, the first time we ever did this podcast, we did BBC Breakfast beforehand. You had a scarf on that was about the size of a quilt. I mean, it's like a blanket around you.
Listen, I'll take it off him, not off you. I'll take fashions out of him, not you. You can just sit there and just be quiet at this moment in time with your fashion set. Have you got 7 of those T-shirts? Anyway.
You're the only person who did
What's wrong with
Strictly.
it, though?
You got smartened up. Before he's got some nice new gear, Rob.
You guys, when you're on TV, let me ask you this. You both do television. Robbie, you've done Match of the Day. Before you go on, I think people will be interested. Do you get advice on what to wear? Do you get instructions about whether you have to wear a shirt or a tie? Because you get, Hanson came in. He wore that black shirt. He did it a bit differently from a fashion perspective.
What did they say to Laurel? What did they say to him? Laurel, wear a shocking shirt.
With a massive
Go
collar.
and borrow one off Garth.
I think now, Matthew, because of social media,
Yeah.
whatever you wear, what you've got to try not to do is wear something that people will look at your clothes rather than listen to you.
What? Is that the remit?
Well, if you got something ridiculous on, people will listen to you. But saying, I speak nonsense and wear ridiculous clothes. I thought, combine them both, why not?
What did you say? Wear something ridiculous.
So if you wear something silly, say if you wear
Detracts on what
white
you say.
trousers or a T-shirt with a picture on, people will be talking about what you're wearing rather than what you're saying.
Is that why you wear the ridiculous clothes?
Yeah, that's why I wear stupid clothes. Because take away what I'm
How much
saying.
thought do you put into what you wear if you're going to be on telly?
A lot now. Yeah. So I was at the cup final the weekend with Rio and Stephen Gerrard.
Yep.
Rio dresses very smartly. I think he does.
Yeah.
Stephen Gerrard looked very good as well, and I was there in a blue suit. Jake Humphrey had the tightest suit on in the world. It looked like it was an Under Armour suit. Seriously, it was that tight.
Yeah.
But I think there's a lot of emphasis now on what you wear on the telly, and it's but you get hammered.
What
you
about
get
you,
hammered
Fred?
no matter what you wear.
Do you give it a lot of thought?
Recently,
Well,
he's not
do
he's
you
handsome.
know what, Matthew? Now that I'm a fashion designer and I work in the industry, I've got to think about it, because this is my brand. This is me. So I think when I played cricket, I used to shave my head, wasn't bothered, just out of ease. Used to wear whites, get told. Where now in TV, you get what they called wardrobe people.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
You get a stylist.
Wow.
I've got to go and see a stylist next week because League of Their Own's coming up for a new. And then I get my clothes for the year, get this massive budget. So I say, go out and get some of that gear to wear on telly and sneak us a few bags in for afterwards. But yeah, I've started. Robbie's given me some powder for my hair. I'm not sure about it. Yeah. It's like a thickening powder. What is it, that powder? It makes my hair look daft.
It does. You look good. It's looking good at the minute.
It depends who's looking at it.
I'm growing mine.
Is that why you've got more of a quiff now? Oh. It's kind of... It's higher, isn't it, on your head? Isn't it, though?
I blow-dried it. I started blow-drying it. Yeah, in the dressing rooms, you feel wrong in the gym.
The thing is, you're acting as well now. So if you've done a scene like 2 or 3 months ago...
I can't cut my hair because I did a scene 2 weeks ago. And then now, continuity, I have to go next week and they'll cut my hair.
Because it needs to look exactly the same on each scene. Gosh.
I tell you what, I think Jamie Radknapp always looks good.
His trousers are too tight.
Are they?
He has really tight trousers. He sits there, and then, you say you talk about things, and you're distracted. You're distracted by the tightness of his trousers. Have you not noticed that?
No.
Jamie tight trousers.
Jamie tight trousers, what you call it?
Seen it?
No.
Yeah.
I think he looks smart, though.
He's a smart dresser. I tell you who's a smart dresser, who you wouldn't expect. Souness.
Yes.
Yeah.
Souness, and he's had his nose straightened.
Has he?
Has he?
Yeah, he's had his nose done.
You look at some funny things, don't you?
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Has had plastic surgery?
He's had his nose done. Because when he retired, I read it somewhere, and I looked at his nose and thought, yeah, you have, Graham. He wanted his nose doing. That was the one thing he treated himself. He got his nose straight.
Would you ever get
on his best mate, say-so, Dale Winton. Good friends with Dale
No,
Winton.
you're kidding.
2 people you won't put together.
Really?
Wow.
Souness and Dale Winton.
I can't tell whether you're being serious. You're being serious, aren't you?
Yeah.
Wow, that's a
I'd
brilliant.
get me nose straightened because
What about a couple of inches off the end?
you're horrible today. You're not going to see me for the week.
Even Matthew's laughing at that.
But
And he's got a proper route.
but we're lucky because our cricket team, our boys playing a cricket team, and there's a lovely fella there who's a nose and ear surgeon, isn't he?
You had an hour with him.
I don't know.
Nose and throat.
He's one of the best around this area. What do I do? My nose. If I do that, look, only one nostril goes in.
We heard that on a
Yeah,
previous
but
podcast.
only one nostril goes
yeah.
in, so it's the cartilage is gone from one side. I
Yep.
broke it 3 times, so I would get my nose done definitely. But on terms of worst dress pundits, who needs?
What about managers? You've got some managers who stand on the touchline wearing a tracksuit, others who are sharp dressers.
Steve Bruce, right? I really like Steve Bruce. I borrowed money off him in the past.
What?
Hey?
For what?
I borrowed money off him.
For what?
I was in a restaurant in Dubai and I'd maxed my credit card out and I couldn't pay the bill. And 2 of my cards bounced.
2 of them.
Yeah, they bounced. I was struggling a bit. So I walked round the restaurant and I panicked and I saw Steve Bruce in the restaurant.
Was he by the desserts on the buffet?
I said, just put mine on his, he won't notice. And I went over to him and said, all right, Steve, nice to meet you, big fan, got chatting. And then after, because we got a mutual friend, and after a while I says, look, Steve, bit of a problem here, I can't pay my bill, my card's bounced, can you lend us a few quid?
Really?
Yeah, he said, fine, pay my bill, and I paid him back.
Great fella, Brucey.
But he shouldn't be allowed near a tracksuit.
Why?
Have you seen him in a tracksuit?
No.
Steve Bruce, if I was a company sponsoring a football club Steve Bruce was a manager of, and you spend all that money on marketing your kits and your tracksuits and designing it, I say, Steve, do us a favour, don't put one on. Don't stand on the touchline in one of our tracksuits. We like you, we think you're a lovely bloke, but you're doing the brand, no, just put a suit on or something.
See, I think Roberto Mancini was class on the side. And people say, oh, there he goes about his mate again. He's bitter towards his Man City fans because his mate left. But Roberto Mancini, the way he wore that scarf, he could make that scarf look cool and trendy. So if I was a manager, I think I would go for the suit look, Fred.
Hey, well, do you know what? There's research on whether managers are more effective wearing a suit or a tracksuit. They showed pictures of coaches lean in physique, dressed in a tracksuit, large in physique, dressed in a tracksuit, and then lean in a suit and large in a suit. So 4 different types of people. And then they asked footballers and the public who they thought were the best managers. The ones who came out the worst were the ones who were fat in a tracksuit.
There you go, Steve Bruce.
Who do you think came out the best?
Lean in a suit.
Correct.
Yeah, Steve Bruce looks like he's putting bins out, doesn't he? He does. He looks like he's putting bins out. And then the other one who gets me. I love Steve Bruce. I'm trying to help him here. I'm trying to help him.
He paid for dinner.
Yeah, I'll give him it back. Yeah. But the other person is him with cap on. What's he called? Pulis. We mentioned him before.
White trainers.
He looks like he's on night bus coming home. He does. Have you seen the state of him? He was. Imagine he stood on the side. Who does he manage now?
West Brom.
He's there, West Brom. If I was the chairman, I'd say, "Can I have a word in your ear, please, Tony? I'm sorry, but we're trying to project an image of this club. Not that. What would you wear if he was a manager?
I'd wear a suit, lean in a suit. Yeah, I would, with a big scarf.
A scarf?
Yeah.
Have you thought about
Mancini
it?
scarf.
Thought about it, yeah.
Not
Thought about
managing?
it. Not managing, no, I couldn't be a manager. Couldn't be a manager.
What about you, Matthew? Like, say, because I don't know how to describe your style, but who do you look up to? Who's your fashion icon?
Good question, Fred.
Whose clothes do I like? Well, okay.
Obviously,
So my I didn't realise how you said that you went to that concert and you realised how old you were. I thought that what I wore was pretty normal until I bumped into you two. Robbie has said that I'm one of the worst dressed people he's ever met. I wear jeans, a pair of black shoes, and then this T-shirt. I don't think it's that bad, but Robbie, you think it is a disaster.
Well, you do look like you shoplift from Bernardo's.
I look at Robbie.
When you're checking how much you're getting for your book in charity shops, do you do a bit of shopping as well?
Yeah, but listen, we had a tweet in the week, didn't we? Have you seen the tweet? And I showed it to Fred earlier about you and people saying the tweet was it was from Ewan Williams. Love the podcast, but don't belittle Matthew's career. He was a world-class athlete. And that was nice of you, but, we are belittling you. It was nice.
That was somebody
really,
about
yeah.
the table tennis
yeah.
career. Yeah.
But,
that was after Freddie said, he said, when you had your last match, what did the crowd, I'm using crowd in the loosest sense.
But like the T-shirt, the T-shirt you've got on today, listen, when your arms aren't like, I've got no muscles, they're just like, and they're like too big, the flaps, and like, you know what I mean?
I'll be honest with you as well, Matthew. You've got the airiest biceps I've ever seen. He's got hairs on his biceps.
What has he?
Yeah. But, do you know when you're getting ready?
Yeah, what do you think?
How long do you take when you're picking your outfit and you're getting ready?
It doesn't take any time.
You turn the light on?
Do you get your clothes? Do you get your clothes out the night before?
No. I just pick out the jeans out of the cupboard, get a T-shirt on.
And how many pairs of jeans will you have in your cupboard?
Oh, I've got, I can tell you that, I've got 6 pairs of jeans.
6?
Pardon?
I've got 3 exactly the same as this. Then I've got the same brand in a darker colour, and then I've got 2 more from a different...
You say to Kathy when you're like, do I look all right today?
Well, she doesn't think I dress well either, and I don't know what...
Really?
Yeah. So when...
I've been in the gym this morning, so I always come to my gym again, and he'd have a go at me, I don't have a shower, but we...
No, you don't have a shower.
I get over there. So basically, we go to the gym, we were in the gym at 7:15 this morning, we've done an hour, he jumped in the shower, I'm in my gym gear. That's why I always look like toned and muscular on the podcast.
But hang on, you don't have a shower.
He never has
Before
a shower.
you come into the studio,
I'll
this is
see
a
him
small studio.
in the morning. He'll come in the gym.
Yeah.
And then I won't see him till tea time at cricket with the kids or something. Still got the same kit on.
That is absolutely gross.
You're a soap dodger. You're a soap dodger. Why is it? Because you can't get your hair wet. What is it?
No, I do have a shower when I go home.
You don't.
Can I ask you, Robbie, do you have a blow dry every day?
No. I wash my hair.
How many days a week do you have a blow dry?
2.
And then
that's why I'm growing it. That's it. I've got to go through the stage now. I'm growing it. It's going back to what it was.
Do you have a beard trim like a couple of times a week? Because it always looks about the same length. the stubble.
Yeah. I'm just like.
So how long does it take you to get ready?
So Freddie, the funny thing is, right, when I was going on telly and dressing as a pundit with long hair, I used to get in the shower in the morning, wash my hair, and leave it. Just leave it. I used to tie it back or just leave it, blow in the wind and like...
Tie it back?
Blow in the wind.
Blow in the wind, right, Elton John.
Oh, yeah. I used to leave it.
Yeah.
Now...
Oh, natural.
Wind.
Yeah, it's
Where'd you go?
Like...
Where are you going to let it blow in the wind? What'd you do?
No idea.
Blow in the wind.
But now, with this style,
Yep.
it's horrendous because you have to... If you sleep funny, one sticks up and you'll never go back down. It's horrendous, this style, for me, because you have to take so much time and care.
I feel your
now,
pain, Rob. I feel
that's
your
why
pain. No,
that's why I'm growing it back.
Yeah.
That's why I'm growing it back.
Well, that is a subject that I didn't think we were going to get through 20 minutes, but I've learned two key things here. One, Souness had a nose job after getting advice from Dale Winton, and two, Savage is a soap dodger.
He is a soap dodger. And toothpaste. Have you smelled his breath sometimes?
Oh, I got nice teeth.
Breath of 1,000 camels.
Topic number 3. How far off-piste have you gone in order to earn a paycheck? This one, is it yours, Robbie?
It is, Matthew. It is.
So what you mean? What you
I
mean?
don't know, really. I was just thinking in the week, Fred, because I was thinking it's the playoff final today. It's a playoff final today. That it's the most lucrative game in football. Huddersfield against Reading. The winners go up to the Premier League, which could be worth £100 million to a football club.
Yep.
The players' wages would probably go up massively, and the pressure on them today to perform. And I was just thinking, we have been so fortunate in our careers. So fortunate to be in a stage where now you get offered stuff, from brands, from promotions, from X, Y, and Z. It just got me thinking, what have I done or what have we done to earn a few quid, thinking, do you know what? I shouldn't really be doing this, or I feel a bit awkward doing this.
Have you had some really unconventional offers?
Matthew, meet Robbie. Robbie, Matthew. What do you mean? Has he everything he does?
Well, one of the ones I'd done was for an underpants company, and that's why I started going to the gym, because
to be an underpant model?
Well,
how long ago was this?
So basically, it was not long after Strictly. So I've done a few things. Not long after Strictly,
You stood next to a bed with a bird, weren't you?
That's right.
Wow.
That's right. So basically,
But that went down well at home.
oh no, it didn't, at all. I done that, and I was standing by the bed, and the lady, the model, was lying on the bed.
No way.
Yeah, in all lovely lingerie, and I had to like pause over her, like
You have your hand in your pocket.
with my trousers, my shirt undone, the bow tie sexily drooped around me, and my trousers like
A bow tie was sexily drooped around you.
They wear it, and but it's undone basically.
Yeah,
Isn't it?
It's an undone bow
That's
tie.
what I meant.
Yeah.
I was just trying to set the scene, Fred.
Sorry.
Yeah, and my trousers were like low enough so you could see the branding of the underpants. And I would have to stare like gazingly into this model's eyes, like
No way.
And then there's another one where I was standing up and she was like ripping my shirt off.
Oh.
And it was like, and I'd done that for a few quid. It wasn't me at all. It wasn't me at all.
What was it like? So this was all lit up.
Oh,
and you
no,
had
in a big
fashion
country,
designers.
in a big country house.
Wow.
In a big country
You
house.
get nervous?
Oh, massively nervous.
What was you thinking?
I was just thinking, because not being funny. Not funny. I'm not funny. But when you're there and you're seeing a lady in lingerie lying on the bed, and there's cameras everywhere, but I was just thinking, whoa. I don't know. I was thinking,
whoa. About the cameras. That's a nice camera.
No, because I was just thinking, just relax. I was just thinking of all different kinds of things.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I done one with Amy Childs. I done a washing machine thing with Amy Childs.
Washing machine? I've spoke to your missus. You've never even seen a washing machine. You can't work one.
After Strictly, because I'd done okay, it was like, can you promote these washing machines? So I was sitting on the washing machine.
Robbie Savage is a well-known washing machine man.
I promoted washing machines for a few quid.
What did you have to do for it?
So basically, it was like they were bringing out washing machines, and Amy Childs was like a girl kind of one with stickers on, girly stickers, and mine was a man's washing machine. But I had to do that, so I sat in a washing machine. So I promoted washing machines, I promoted underpants.
And this came off the back of Strictly. How nerve-wracking was it to do Strictly? Because that was quite a big departure for you.
Most nerve-wracking thing I've ever done in my life.
Do you know what?
Horrendous.
Did you enjoy it? Is it one of them things you enjoy?
No, you can't when you're on it. You cannot enjoy Strictly when I don't think you can.
What, the pressure?
The pressure. It is. You are one of the most famous people in Britain for that week, and you are in a bubble, and it is. You can't go anywhere. You have people following you. You are in a bubble, and you get a bit carried away. And I didn't like myself when I was on Strictly because I didn't think how much it would affect my wife you know, and I just thought it's all about me. Look who I am. I am a Strictly. And for those 10, 12-week period when I was in it, I look back now and thinking I didn't like myself. It wasn't me.
You got up yourself?
Yeah, a little bit, mate. And you know, listen, people don't know me, think I'm like that anyway. Who's he? Look at him with his hair and his teeth and all that. But seriously, they do, Fred, and you know they do. But when you get to know me, we've said that I'm just like, I have a great laugh with you guys, and I'm just quite insecure, and you know, and I turned into a person where I didn't like. And if I'd have seen me then, now, I'd have knocked myself out.
Yeah.
What about the VTs? Because the dancing's one thing, but then you get what was the worst VT you did?
So VT videotape where they
before you go on the dance, they do that thing where
yeah.
Oh, it's just cringeworthy.
So yeah, because you think when you do Strictly, you're just going to dance, but then you have about 3 or 4 VTs a week, and you have to say lines to the camera again.
What was the worst ones?
I remember we were at Wembley. You get to week halfway, and it was at Wembley, and I had done Let Me Entertain You, Robbie Williams, in front of 10,000 people, and it was looking back now, I was all right, but the VT. So you imagine I had to get me same clothes I was wearing on the next night outside of Wembley, and it was a normal day, and people were walking past, and there I am, you know, doing the rumba outside Wembley Stadium for a VT, and like going to the camera, and it is embarrassing. And I've got to say, the money was okay, and it was a part of my life which I loved, in terms of doing something out of my comfort zone, which I'd never done before, and getting better at it. But it's a part of my life which I look back and thinking I was an idiot, I was a clown, and I was a person I didn't like.
But it helped you to transition massively into what you now do.
It helped me
thing to do.
It helped me promote washing machines. It helped me do underpants.
Hey, on the subject, what about you, Fred? What's the most embarrassing thing you've ever done for money?
Do you know, I did the jungle.
Yes.
And I said I'd never do the jungle. I think I've said it on here before.
The Australian one.
Yeah, easiest money.
And you won it.
Easiest money in my life. I did that. Do you know the one things which you do a lot of, and I've had a bit of a... Do you know the corporate dues?
Yeah.
I don't know what I think about them. Because you turn up and then they pay you a fee, and it's almost like they own you for them hours you're there.
Was this before or after drink?
It was easier when I was drinking. You just turn up and come home. Don't care. Can't remember. But I did one.
Well, I can imagine you'd be very good at this.
Yeah.
Well, I'm all right. Whether I'm worth what they give me, I'm not sure. But I did one, and I've been doing this tour around the country, theatre tour, doing all these different dates. I did the first date at Preston Guildhall, and it went really well. Mm-hmm. So I'd agreed to do a corporate the night after. And it was at Lord's Cricket Ground for Bridgestone tyres.
Yep.
And I'm thinking, I've had a good do here at Preston. It's easy, this. I'm just going to get up, tell a few tales, and it'll be fine. There's 50 people, and I've got up, and I've realised very quickly there is no crossover between what I do and Bridgestone tyres. There's nothing. I thought I tried to be funny. I told a story how I got changed. I went in the dressing rooms, true story, and I had a bath. And a tour group came through as I was in the bath. And people, I told them that, but I get the same reaction you're giving me. Nothing.
Oh, no.
Nothing.
Silence.
Yeah, nothing. So I'm thinking, oh my word. So I told a few of my bankers, I'm thinking, these are them. Nothing. And then I started questioning myself, thinking, am I telling these right? Did I tell that right? And then, do you know when you get hot, and then the hotter you get?
Yeah.
Oh, you just get worried, and then you can feel it coming down the back of your neck, dripping down. So then I tried to be sincere. Nothing. Then I tried to be factual. Yeah. Nothing. And it was the longest 40 minutes. And in the end, I just said, you know what? Has anybody got a question? Not one question from the tyre people. Nothing. So I just sat down and I thought, you know what? Grin and bank it. Grin and bank it.
I don't know how you two can do that, stand in front of hundreds of people and speak.
I would sooner be stood at the front talking than in the crowd of people.
I can't do that. I cannot
Robbie,
stand.
hang on. You...
Yeah.
When you broadcast, there can be hundreds of thousands, potentially millions listening, and you don't. I mean, I've watched you here. You don't seem to get nervous. You're very confident.
I am confident, because
but you would find it difficult to stand in front of a group.
There's 3 of us in the room. There's a camera here. There's a couple of people behind the glass, which is fine. I'm in my comfort zone with people I know, people I trust, and people I like.
But including Mike.
Yeah. Who's, by the way, is not talking about worst dress. Wow. And John has got green gazelles on today, the boss. Seriously.
Oh, man.
Bank holiday Monday. He's
dressed down Monday at work.
The controller of the channel.
Mate. Anyway, what was I going to say? standing in front of 200 people
Yeah.
on a stage speaking, no, I couldn't do it.
I'd sooner be up there and sat.
Really,
Sat.
I've done it a couple of times, and it went wrong for me. I was at the Daily Mirror Awards. Lloyd Embley, who's the editor, sat on his table. Great guy, friend of mine now, and I was presenting one of the awards. And I remember, I can't remember. It was best regional paper because the Daily Mirror have like the
MEN, don't they?
have they got the MEN? Have they? They've got regional papers around Britain.
Yeah.
So it was the regional awards, and I was presenting the best regional award.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got on the stage, and it was like third. Oh, and the winner is.
Yeah.
So I've opened the envelope, and I thought I'll have a bit of fun here.
Oh, never do that,
mate.
mate. Never do
This
that.
is, I swear, it's so true. I've gone third place is blah blah blah. Second place is blah blah blah, and then I remember because before the awards, this table from Newcastle, I think it was, stood up and everybody was clapping them, and everybody thought they were going to win.
Yeah.
Anyway, I've gone, and the winner is, and I've said that table.
Yeah.
Anyway, they've all cheered, they've all stood up, and as I've gone to read the winner, I've looked up and I've gone, I was only joking, and the guy was on the stage.
Oh no!
He was on the stage. I've looked at the editor of the Daily Mail, and he's got his head in his hands, and I thought, what do I do? It's true. So I've read out the winner to have a laugh and a joke.
Warren Beatty, you, aren't you?
I've gone, it's not you.
Hey, Warren
And he's
Beatty at
there.
the Oscars.
Oh, mate, he's there. So I said, listen, I'm sorry, it's not you. And everybody started booing.
Booing you?
Booing me, yeah. Seriously.
At least you know how to react to that, don't you?
I'm standing there, and I've had to read the original winner out. That never got a cheer then because people were saying about him. And I thought, oh, my, I'm going to lose my job here. I'm going to lose my job. But what I'd done after that, I thought, what can I do to make up for that? I thought, what can I do? Oh, my dear. Just thinking about it now is horrendous. And what I'd done was, out of the goodness of my heart, I thought I've messed up the poor
That's not the goodness of your heart, really, is it? You're backtracking.
So basically,
the goodness of your heart would have been a selfless act. This is not a selfless act. This is you. You're in a bit of trouble. You're worried that your Daily Mirror column's going to come to an end because the editor's got his head in his hands. You've announced the wrong person thinking, I'm going to have a bit of fun, unquote. So, Robbie, don't start giving it that. Just tell us what you did to get yourself out of what can only be described as a bit of a pickle.
So basically what I've done, I'm very fortunate to know a few people and have some very good friends, and one person happened to have a house abroad. So what I'd done was I gave the guy a quick ring and said, listen, man, I'm in a massive pickle here.
And out of the goodness of my heart, did you give him?
So basically I give the guy a week's holiday abroad in a nice house with flights included for messing up. So
but you guys have done interesting and unusual things for money, and you've been embarrassed doing a speech and Robbie at an award ceremony. You must have turned down some weird stuff.
Oh,
What was that thing you phoned me up with?
it was for Radio 1, wasn't it?
I didn't know you obviously as well as I did now, but I thought I was doing you a favour.
What was it for?
I got a phone call from Robbie or a text or something saying, Fred, can you do me a massive, massive favour? I need you to do me a massive favour. So I thought, yeah, of course I will. He said, can you take a picture of your shoulders? Right?
Yeah.
This must for me, it must have been a moment of weakness, or I was just goodness. And he's saying, can you take a picture of my shoulders? Because I've got this, it's for a rucksack company.
It was a rucksack.
For a rucksack company. So I'm sat in the car with one of the lads, Shannon. I'm saying, I've just had a phone call from Robbie. And he wants me to take a picture of his shoulders because he's got to deal with a rucksack
I was
company.
promoting rucksacks.
And to be honest with you, anybody else, I'd have said they're having me on. But we've heard from Robbie. He did washing machines. He's done all these things. So I'm thinking, well, he's got another job here. I'll do it. I'd just come out. Do you know where I was? I was in hot yoga in Manchester. I've just come out. I've had a shower. I've got my top off, and I'm saying to Shannon, take a picture of my shoulders, right? And then But usually, if someone takes a picture of my face, I'm not bothered. It's like, send it. We did about 15 goals at this. I'm saying, no, get a good one on my shoulders. Get a good one on my shoulders.
What, are you using this for the rucksack? I was saying, look, you're going to get this fantastic shoulders.
I didn't think I was getting anything. He was saying, my shoulders are quite small. Can I borrow your shoulders?
Can I borrow your shoulders?
Did you get the deal?
Yeah.
It was a prank for Radio 1.
It was a prank. It was a prank, yeah.
So I got a phone call again. I was in my car, and it was Radio 1 talking about shoulders.
That's right.
You stitched him up.
That's right, yeah.
Love it.
I took a photo of his shoulders. How low, not low is the wrong word, how off-piste would you go?
Have you got a sex tape in you?
Would you do pornography?
Have you got a sex tape in you, a Kardashian?
Don't think I have you?
Well... No, I'm gonna. I haven't. No, obviously, I've got the credentials. We've seen that in publications.
Okay, magazine.
But do you know what? Do you know when people talk about what they do, and then people going about, and people get a bit snobby about people's shows they do, and I used to be one of them. But then you think, you know what? People just having a go, trying to earn a bit of money, trying to provide. So if you do a reality show, and like this lot on Geordie Show and all that, which I'll never watch, everybody gets a bit uppity about them, but they're just trying to make a bit of money.
Yeah.
The Kardashians. Everyone whinges about the Kardashians.
You rate them, don't you?
Well, I think I don't watch them. I don't know much about them, but everyone calls them. But the Herberts are the people who buy the stuff and watch them.
So would you do would you do pornography?
If I was a single lad, right, and I was completely on the bones, I had nothing, absolutely nothing, and it was the only way of a job, I'd fall back on the education. I don't think I would, but you don't know the situations which put people in where they go with career choices.
It's interesting, isn't it? You're right. I mean, it's easy for us to say, I wouldn't do this and I wouldn't do that. But that's because
you've got choice.
In a privileged position to be able to make the choice. That's one thing I've realised working with you two. I mean, Freddie, if you were to ask 100 people, probably half of the people would know who you are. Robbie, 2 or 3 as well.
No, 2 or 3 more than they know you.
Exactly. But, you guys probably have to think quite strategically about who you work with because you've got so many offers coming. I mean, have you ever thought of I doubt you've ever thought of it in this way, but you have a brand, don't you? And you have to think about how you manage that brand in order to make sure that you get the income to provide for your family.
That was the big thing, cut my hair off.
Yeah.
Because, when I cut my hair off, I was thinking, what are you laughing at?
That's a big thing, cutting your hair off.
It was, because I was known for my hair, for the highlighted look.
Yeah.
I was known for it, so when I cut my hair off, it was a big thing. I've turned down lots of things on the basis of couples, because my wife won't do anything. I've turned lots down because my wife won't do anything to do with TV or.
Would you do Mr. and Mrs.? Me and my Mrs. did that.
I'd love to. I would have loved to have done that with my wife, but she doesn't want to do it, Matthew.
She doesn't want the spotlight.
She hates it. Have you ever seen my wife?
No.
See? You mean?
I mean, the only time I've ever seen is that photo of the locket with a bit of your hair in it.
I've got to say, I'm batting way above my average, by the way.
Yeah.
But yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, what?
What do you mean, oh, yeah?
Well,
like as if it's
obviously you are.
Why?
That's a compliment to your wife.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm saying you're a good-looking man, Robbie Savage.
Thanks, Andrew.
Okay, but let me just to sort of finish this section off. When it comes to the way that you manage your social media profile, so you've both got more than 1 million followers on Twitter. Robbie, people might be interested, and Fred, both of you, do people tell you what to tweet? Do you get advice, or do you just do exactly what you want to do?
I'm obligated to do some through companies you work for. But then the thing is, I'm very conscious of is just doing tough sells. So you try and disguise it in something because you don't particularly like putting them on. Mm-hmm. So if you disguise it, I do it on my own Twitters and on my own tweets. Yeah, obviously. But it's a fine one, isn't it?
It is your sense of humour. When I read your Twitter feed, it is absolutely you.
But also as well do you know when you get offered jobs and things, you talk about brands and that, which I'm probably doing the people who look after me a bit of a disservice because they're quite strategic. Mm-hmm. But I am under the impression, with everything I do, that I'm going to get found out. Yeah. I really am. And I don't know if that keeps me on my toes. And I've stumbled into doing the job I do now. Mm. Not 100% sure I want to be doing it because for me, all I ever wanted to do was be a cricketer.
Yeah.
I just wanted to play cricket for Lancashire and England, and then at 31 you retire. And I've been so lucky to stumble into this work I'm doing, but it was never the plan.
Which work?
League of Their Own, TV, even what
Acting.
we're doing now, acting. I've got no fear of having
You
a go at
present
something.
current affairs. Look, I'll tell you
affairs?
Current,
Yeah.
Current affairs.
I'll tell you this about both of you. That it's a real eye opener. You said that you went out of your comfort zone to do Strictly. Freddie, I mean, I don't know if I can mention it, but you've done acting. You've auditioned for a musical.
Yeah.
You do a podcast. You've done current affairs in Australia. You are prepared to go out on a limb and try new things and learn new things. But you don't just do it willy-nilly. You do acting classes. You work hard on
Well, if
that.
I'm going to do something, I'll do it. But also as well, I feel because again, do you know for someone in the theatre, the Wembley, the Lords is the West End.
Yeah.
You know, for someone in acting, a movie, a Hollywood movie, or TV, they want to do prime time. Don't get me wrong, I'd love to do all that, but it's not the be-all and end-all for me. My be-all and end-all was walking out at Lords. Yeah. That was it.
What happens?
And I don't really get nervous about stuff.
What about in your acting career then? Just say it goes well. And what happens in your acting career when it comes to the crunch and you have a sex scene?
Should be a very lucky lady. What? That is one thing I'm not sure about. Might have to get a stunt one.
That'll be... Could you do that? Could you do it? And
Well,
you're
you
acting.
don't have to actually have sex in a sex
No,
scene.
I'm not
Yeah, but
stupid.
this is
Well, so all he has to do is kiss
But
the
yeah.
leading lady,
yeah,
right?
but this is a bit of an issue. This.
Yeah.
Would,
It is a
would
bit-
your wife have a problem with
Well,
I can't imagine she'd be thrilled about it. You know, imagine sat at home with kids. Oh, here we go. We'll put this on. I'm on now, Daddy. What you doing with that girl? It's like I don't know. I wouldn't like her to do it.
you
would
imagine if Rachel was doing it.
because it's not CGI, is it? You're doing it.
it? Yeah.
You're doing it. Oh,
I couldn't do it. I could. That's
because
why.
I've just done this short for Sky, and the premise is I walk a dog and there's a girl I see every day, and that was so. I showed it to Mrs. just wanting a seal of approval. I don't do out with her,
All right, Fred.
but no.
All right.
Yeah, they didn't.
Great to listen to this podcast. All right, Fred.
They didn't listen to my notes. But it is weird. It's very weird.
Yeah. Oh.
Well, you don't look like that. You've been doing underwear shots with a model led on a bed, looking very suggestive.
It's a fair. Matthew, you did anything for?
Matthew's dining out. Matthew is just hoping that this podcast keeps going better and better. Then he can get a reality show.
Have you done anything,
You'd love to
Matthew?
do Strictly, wouldn't you?
Would you have done?
That's it. Yes.
Okay, so I think it's just I'm so in a different place to you two. I mean, other than a very small group of people who read the Times, listen to this podcast. I mean, not that that's an incredibly small group, but I'm not big enough to ever be invited on Strictly or The Jungle. People say, who is he? The reason those show works is people want to know about the real person who they have seen on telly, but what's that person like underneath
I
the
don't know if
surface?
they
I don't
do.
think I'd ever get to a place like that. They don't have... I mean, Judy Murray... Big name. They wanted to hit, you've both been on it. Who else do they have? Dale Winton. But these are names. No one knows.
No, but I think
Has Dale Winton been on reality
All the
television?
names you can come up with. You with Dale Winton.
But what would you do? In my position, if somebody said, do you think that it would help me to go on Strictly Come
Well, first and foremost, I'd go in the gym. Seriously.
build up
the muscles.
shave the hair off my bicep?
But would you like to do it?
Okay, I think that I would initially hate it. I don't think it wouldn't feel right to me to be on that kind of a show. Not my kind of audience or market at all. But what I've learned from you two, I think, more than anything else, is taking risks. I mean, I wasn't sure that this podcast was the right fit for me at all. When I got the phone call from Jono, I thought, hang on a second, will this work?
Freddie's idea.
Yeah, was it? Yeah.
He's come up with names, and Fred said, "What about?"
He came up with 10 different people, and
I didn't have a clue who you were.
But I reckon.
But I've enjoyed it, and it's definitely been.
You're going back to
something I've
what
enjoyed
Fred
doing.
said, earlier, and when he said, and even Freddie now, what he's achieved and how high he's held in the esteem of the public, because everybody loves Fred. And I think that's why I'm getting a bit of adulation from this, because people love Fred, and people have taken to you, and now I'm getting a bit of adulation from this. But I still think, Matthew, that when I turn up to places, even we alluded to it last week on book signing, I think nobody's going to turn up. Nobody knows who I am. When I'm going on the radio, nobody's going to listen to me. Not because I might talk a bit of rubbish, but because who's he? When I'm turning up to events, I get a bit shy, a bit insecure, thinking, nobody's going to be there. Who am I? Do you know what I mean? I think
that's a massive positive.
really
You
do.
both said that. Fred,
Really
you said
do.
you're worried you're going to get found out. You're insecure. But that makes you feel grateful for what you've got and you put everything into it. As soon as you start thinking you deserve it, you're not going to...
At the FA Cup final this weekend, and I was driving in the car to the game, and I'm with Rio Ferdinand, a legend, numerous trophies. Steven Gerrard, legend, numerous trophies. And then me. No, and I'm being serious here. So when Jake Humphrey's asking the questions at the weekend, what's it like to play in these games? What's it like this? And then he comes to me, and he was great, Jake, great presenter. And then I've got to be self-deprecating and derogatory, saying, well, I've never played an FA Cup final. Deep down, that really, really kills me, because I'm standing there, and in my head, I'm thinking, all these people watching home are thinking, why is he on that? Why is he doing that? Like, I was at the Europa League final night. Less people listen to me. I'm thinking...
Yeah, I think you do yourself down.
But do you know what I mean?
Look at the advert for Champions League. Who's got the big scene at the end there?
That's because it's Cardiff, I think.
Overacted a bit.
Again,
but who's got the big scene?
But again, I'm holding the European Cup, and I've never played in the competition. And I'm thinking, but why is he in that? And that's how I feel, and that's why I get nervous and insecure, because I've never been in those big moments of life in terms of being a pundit. And I think, going to these places, oh no, I've got to do that, but I've never done it. And people, it's horrible to think sometimes.
Interesting. Really good.
I get it the other way.
What?
A little bit.
What?
You go to places like cricket, and my career was all right. But
Freddie was amazing.
No, it was all right. It wasn't as good as some.
Freddie was amazing.
I'm fine about it. And then everyone talks to you and builds it up. And it's like, hang on a minute, I was all right for a little bit. Don't get carried away here. And I think people get blinded by the fact, because they've seen you on telly a little bit more. And I got into a little bit of trouble during my career. I think people look at your career a little bit differently to how it was.
No, see, I go to, so the driver I had for Saturday is Gaz. Gaz, I call him Gaz the driver, great fella. And he, well, what? Gaz.
How'd you come up with that? How'd you come up with them, Rob? Tell you, Rob, this is why.
It's innovating.
This is why you get paid the big bucks. Just coming up with little pearls like that. Like, who'd have thought Gaz was a driver? Who'd have thought? How'd you think them up, Robbie? How'd you do it?
I turned the heat up in the car and all. It was a bit cold. And this is where he needs to, because he's insecure, but he was one of the best. Freddie was one of the best. And Gaz said to me on Saturday when he listened to the podcast, the driver. He went to the golf tournament, the PGA Wentworth. It was the Pro-Am. He was with Scholes. He drives for Scholes as well. Great fella. And he said, Lara was there. And he said, Freddie doesn't realise he's up there with the 10
No.
They're like, Freddie, you are.
No,
he is,
really
Matthew.
not. Really not.
But you are. But you don't get it. People don't get it.
Last word, fame. If you had to say good or bad, I know that there are good and bad in being famous, but given that you're high-profile people now, you get photos taken all the time, people asking for selfies, you also get the downside of the social media, the abuse, the vilification. If you had to say yes or no, is fame a good thing? Is it a blessing? Is it a positive, Robbie?
It's a great question.
It's not. It's
a great question.
I don't think it's a straightforward answer from me. I think I'll say yes, because it's given me a life, my family a life, which I've never got doing anything else. And some of the places I've been, some of the people I've met, some of the things I've done, I've been so fortunate. And I'm talking about cricket and travelling, talking about even some of the TV stuff and the life experience I've had in Africa and places. Yes. I don't like the attention. I don't like...
You don't, do you? You don't. I know you don't.
I don't like being famous, if you can call it that. Yeah. But would I swap it? There's days when I think, you know what, yeah.
You would want the anonymity.
Yeah. And when you go to somewhere, for instance, like America, and nobody knows who you are, it's brilliant until you try and get a restaurant. But I wouldn't swap it, no.
Yeah.
And that's not like narcissistic. It's just, what else would I do? There's nothing that would, especially cricket, nothing would have given me that fulfillment of playing cricket. Yeah. And then now with what I do, just the variety, the flexibility as well of being at home with the kids. I'm not working 9 till 5.
Yeah.
I get to do a lot with the kids. I do go away from time to time. So sounds terrible, but I think it's a yes.
I'm with Fred, because do I think I'm famous? No. Do I think I've been very, very lucky? Yes. And do I like the people being horrible to me? No, when you're out and about. But there's some instances where you do think I'm very fortunate. And that fame for that split second, when people know who you are, can be brilliant. Because one instance, and we can finish on this if you want, coming back from the game in Stockholm, on the plane, a few United fans had a drink. And as I'm going through the security, you can hear them. They think you're invisible. They think you're deaf. It's bizarre, but you can hear everything they're saying. And they were going through, and you can hear them talking. And as I go through, and they had a few drinks and saying, expletive pundit, expletive commentator, blah, blah, blah. And they're horrible.
It's football fans, isn't
it? And that bit then, when the security man gets you, and when you see the queues about a mile long, and he says, fast track, sir. And you're thinking, yeah, take that.
There's
See you
an
later.
upside right there. Guys, thank you.
What's anonymity like, Matthew?
Gosh, all it's cracked up to me, I can tell you. Guys, thank you, and thank you for listening. You can download the podcast for extended versions of all the topics we covered on this week's show at the 5 Live website and all the usual podcast places. Please use the hashtag FredSavSide to get in touch with us through the week. If you could leave a review on iTunes and give us a rating, that would be great. We really appreciate everyone who's done that already. We'll be back at the same time next week, but for now, from all of us, goodbye.
Flintoff, Savage and the Ping Pong Guy.
Thank you for downloading the Flintoff, Savage and the Ping Pong Guy podcast. If you like what you hear, then why not have a look at what else 5 Live podcasts have to offer at bbc.co.uk/5live.